Okay. Oh, hello, everybody. Welcome to the presentation. Thank you so much for being here on this spooky Friday. It is Friday, but that's okay. That's okay. It's I pushed the Spreaker button a little later, so right now the music is still playing in my ear in Spreaker. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of cray. But we're here, you're here, and now we're getting ready to go live on Spreaker in 3, 2, 1. Right now we're live, everybody. We're everywhere. Hello. Happy Friday to you. Hopefully you're having a good Friday wherever you are in this world, wherever it is. Hopefully it's a good one. And hopefully you're having something, you're going to plan on something fun for this weekend. Whatever it might be. Do something good for yourself. You deserve it. You just whatever. Just chill. Or a spook fest. Yeah. So there we go. Okay, everybody, hello and welcome to the presentation. And again, happy Friday to everybody today. Yeah, it is Friday and it's getting ready to become fall. So that's always better. Anytime it's getting ready to be fall, I'm like, let's go. So let us I am ready for it, guys. I am ready for it. I am so done with summer. I really am. Anyway, you're not here to be my therapist, so I'm not going to talk about my issues with me hating summer. All right, a couple things. Hello, everybody. I'm Bishop James Long, and I appreciate you guys being here. And it is Paranormal Friday tonight. Paranormal Friday is our fun-filled, exciting Fridays we do every Friday. So a couple things before we get started in the show. I want you to go to our sponsors site, and that is kgradb.com. So it's KGRAD as in dog, B as in bicycle.com. And I want you to make sure you go there and subscribe. They have some amazing shows there, guys. They really do. Yep. And this show airs on that channel, and I'm honored to be there. Now, look, when you subscribe, make sure you put Bishop as your promo code. You're going to get 30% off your subscription. So number one, it's already very affordable, but 30% off. Save 30% off. So, yep, there you go, kgradb.com. But don't forget Bishop as your promo code. And I don't know why this monitor keeps messing up. If you want to go to my website, that's simple too. BishopJamesLong.com. BishopJamesLong.com. I want to remind everybody that now I have online classes for free. That means you don't have to pay anything. For those people in Kentucky, that means you don't have to pay anything. It's free. Hey, folks, I live in Kentucky. I'm from Kentucky. I'm allowed to say that. So for those of you in Kentucky, that means you don't have to pay anything. It's free. So here's what you do. Go to BishopJamesLong.com. Click on the class link. All right. And scroll all the way down. And you're going to see links. And that so they're all on the Facebook. Facebook, yeah, the Facebook, as Miss Wilma calls it, the Facebook. Yep, I'm telling you, Miss Wilma goes on Facebook. She goes to the library to try to get on Facebook. She does it not quite enough. But anyway, so that's what you need to do, and just click on the links there. So you learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. And what's pretty cool about it is you get to print off certificates. So there, it's all for you. Thank you, guys. Now, if you want to go to the church's website, it's usocc.org. That is the church's website. I want to remind everybody that we have night prayer tonight. And we get together at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everybody's invited. We'd love to have you guys there. So at 9:45, we play music. And then at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard, we start for our night prayer. So, thank you. So all you have to do is go to usocc.org and scroll all the way down to where it says night prayer. You click that picture, and it takes you right there. That's all you got to do. And if you want to chat in the chat room, well, you go to usocc.org, scroll all the way down to the very bottom, and you'll see directions on how to get to the chat room. We try to make things easy to the best of our ability. That's what we do, guys. That's what we do. For those of you on TikTok, I appreciate you guys being here. As you guys know, I have placed sub chat only on. We do that because we just don't want to deal with the trolls. So bye-bye, trolls. See ya. Arrivederci. And so That's what we do it now. On the top of the hour at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will open it up to everybody, but everybody can watch it. It's just, we just don't want to deal with people, trolls in the chat. All right. Yeah, that's right. That's so. Again, for those of you who are liking the video, I appreciate the lives. Please continue to do that on TikTok. The more likes we have, the more we get into algorithm. The more we get into the algorithm, the more people will see what is this guy doing on a penguin suit talking about cray cray, paranormal stuff. Yeah. Well, I want to say something about the paranormal. I've always loved the paranormal. I always have. And it's fascinating. The topic has, within the paranormal community, it's always, it's the what is out there. I've always questioned that. I've always have. I've always been the type of, I've always had the mind to always say there has to be something else. What else is, what do we not know? Some things that many people do not know, it can be quite frightening. And we can talk about the demonology later on tonight. I know a lot of people don't want to think about demons because that's a frightening topic to a lot of people. I get it. I understand that. Not everyone is called to be a spiritual warrior. Not everyone's called to be an exorcist. Not everyone's called to be a demonologist. I understand that. I get it. I truly do. See, when things go bump in the night, when I hear things go bump in the night, I don't get scared. My brain is wired differently. Perhaps maybe that's why I'm called to serve in this field as an exorcist. But when things go bump in the night, it doesn't frighten me. It actually intrigues me. And what I mean by that is I want to know what it is. I have to know. I have to figure it out. That's how my brain is wired. So, for example, and then we'll get into the Appalachian in just 1 second. So last week, as you guys know, I was at the paranormal conference doing a presentation, and I had my haunted items, quite a few haunted items with me. And I had to take them with me into the hotel because I didn't want to leave them out in the car for a variety of reasons. So I had these things inside. These are pretty rough stuff. This is not these haunted items. And I went live on TikTok several times. These items are they're nothing to play around with. As a matter of fact, one woman came to me because I had the exhibit open. And she says, I really don't know if I believe in all that stuff. Thank you. Thank you. And I said, well, you're more than welcome to, come on in, take a look at the exhibit. And she did. And she went to this one particular item that she believed that the case was that a voodoo priestess had put a curse on these items. That's what was believed. And she went to this item, and I was looking at her, and she turned pale as a ghost. She got clammy. You could see, I mean, it was like she was ready to pass out. And she took a step back, and she lost her color in her face. It was clearly visible. And she came to me, and she asked for a blessing. She needed to sit down because she was going to pass out. So I think that this is, these items are that I have collected through the years. They're no joke. These are some serious items. And so I had them in the hotel with me the night before, because I drove down the night before to be at the Bel Air house. And I looked pretty terrible. I will admit, when I was on camera, I looked horrible. I looked exhausted, and I was. And that was because all night long, someone was like, they were inside the bathroom in my hotel with the door. My door was shut. The bathroom door was shut, but it was as if the door was locked, and something was clearly inside that bathroom, like, trying to get in. And it drove me insane because it kept on and on and on. I mean, this went on from like 1 o'clock in the morning until 6. It was nonstop. So it was like someone was inside the hotel bathroom, my hotel bathroom, trying to get through. Yeah, you're right. It was draining me. I mean, it was just, and when it happened at first, I said, no, we're not doing this. That's exactly what I said. Well, no, we're not doing this. See, I didn't get frightened. That was just expected. And quite honestly, I'm surprised that that's all that I had to deal with, to be honest with you. But that's exactly what happened. With that stupid doorknob, I was like, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing it. It's not going to happen. Not today. Nope. But it did. I mean, it was constant. So I blessed, the room. I blessed everything. Try to go back to sleep, and then it did it again. Oh, no. You say, please stop. They will. What's attached to these items are really, it's really serious stuff. And so, I don't, I command, I command. Well, thank you. I appreciate you letting me know. Today, there's a Sacred Division show at 7:00, and it's 7:11. Sorry, my phone just decided to let me know that I'm on air. Okay. I mean, you're only 11 minutes late. What are you going to do? But yeah, it was, I just dealt with it. So, that's what happened. And it was annoying. It was annoying. So when things go bump in the night, I got to find out what it is. If I hear a growl, I need to know what it is. If I see green eyes, I need to know what it is. Or red, I go to it. I want to know what it is. I become so obsessed with figuring it out. And the only time that I've ever been scared, my first exorcism, that was frightening. And we can talk about that in just a second, but later on, when I was at the gates of hell, I was legitimately frightened because of that creature that I saw in that tree. I still don't know what it is today. To this day, I don't know what I saw. I know I saw it. So did 3 other people, but I don't know what it was. And that was frightening. But it was a different experience than a demonic, because with a demonic, at least when I am in the presence of a demonic, my body will tell. I know how my body responds to that. This was different. This was not the same. This creature, whatever the heck that thing was, this was a different feel altogether. Very different. And I'm going to talk about that at 8 p.m. Eastern for those of you who don't know. So it's at the gates. I did the Gates of Hell documentary on YouTube, and I talked about that. And but I wasn't like, but Tammy, I wasn't freaking out. I was more. It was as if I was in the presence of something very ancient, very powerful, very mysterious, and I can't label it. So even to this day, and that was I don't know how many years ago, even to this day, it drives me crazy because I can't figure it out. I can't put a label on it. Some people say it was Mothman. Some people say it was all kinds of things. I don't know. I don't know what the thing was, but I know it bothers me because I can't figure it out. But here's what I can figure out. Tonight, we're going to talk about the Appalachian Trails. And folks, I'm going to tell you something. The Appalachian Trails is no joke. It is no joke. I have met a lot of people in the paranormal field. I've met a lot of paranormal investigators. And the stories that they have told me about their experience as I prepared for this show, I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to tell you some of their stories tonight. And it's pretty crazy what some of these people have experienced. And so anyway, wherever you are in this world, if it's nighttime, then turn the lights out and just let's get scared. It's a scary place. Okay, the Appalachian Trails. So tonight I'm going to invite you to embark on a journey with me. It's a journey not just through the wilderness, but through, many people say, time itself. So we're going to walk through the twisted paths of shadowy trails of the America's most iconic landmarks, the Appalachian Trail. And as we traverse this storied route, if you will, we will uncover the haunted history, spine-chilling legends that have scarred many people who have dared to walk this path alone. Don't do that. That's number one. Do not go on the Appalachian Trail by yourself. We'll talk about that just from the logical perspective, but also from the paranormal perspective. We'll talk about that in just a second. So as the night deepens, we're going to delve into the darkness that lies hidden within the Appalachian Trail. So let's talk about first the history before we get into the spooky stuff. So this journey actually begins in the early 1920s when a vision was born in the mind of Benton McKay. He was a regional planner. He dreamt of creating a continuous trail spanning the vast ridges and valleys of the Appalachian Mountains, which is beautiful. So his dream actually became reality in 1925. Thank you. When the Appalachian Trail Conference was formed. And by 1937, the trail was actually mostly complete. So what's interesting about this is the Appalachian Trail. A lot of people don't know this. It stretches over 2,000 miles from Georgia all the way to Maine, passing through 14 states along the East Coast. Did you guys know this? That is a huge trail. So again, as I mentioned, the idea of the trail, it was Benton McKay, 1920s. He really wanted this as a means to preserve the natural beauty of the Appalachian Mountains and provide a place for people to reconnect with nature. So the construction of the trail, it actually began in 1920s, and then it continued over several decades. There were volunteers, conservationists, government agencies, and so it was officially completed 1937 and has become a treasured national landmark. So let's talk a little bit about, yeah, I agree with you. Josh, I think it would be neat. It will take a while. I forgot, I did some research on this, on how long it would actually take. It would take a little bit. I think someone did it in 14 days or something of this nature, but it would take some time to travel the entire trail. I mean, you're talking from Georgia all the way to Maine. And I've been on the Appalachian trails, and it is beautiful. So along the Appalachian trails, hikers can encounter a diverse range of landscapes. It has lush forest, beautiful, some of the most beautiful cascading waterfalls that you'll ever see. But it also has rugged mountain peaks and meandering streams. Now, there are some notable landmarks along the trail, and that include Clingman's Dome in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, one of my all-time favorite places to visit, Smoky Mountains and Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Go Tennessee. Again, for those of you on TikTok, welcome. Thank you for being here. I'll open the chat up to everybody at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And thank you guys for liking the video. And also thank you for the gifts. If I don't thank you, I apologize individually because I'm running the show on two different computers. Fair enough? Okay. So the Clingman's Dome is beautiful. If you've never been there, go to it's Clingman's Dome. Sorry, my Kentucky accent's coming through. It's lazy. Clingman's Dome in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Love it. Also, Cades Cove. Guys, if you've never been to the Great Smoky Mountains in Tennessee, you are missing out. You are missing out. And Cades Cove, Cades, Cades Cove, is one of my all-time favorite locations to go to. They have old cabins that are actually, they're very beautiful. They actually have old cabins that still remain today where you actually used to live in. You know, that would scare me. I will tell you something right now. Back in the 1880s, 1890s, 1870s or so, when the roads weren't like they are today, obviously, these cabins are very isolated and surrounded by woods with lots of bear. And that truly would scare me. Matter of fact, there's a big fence around one cabin that they put, to protect themselves. Thank you. For bears. So anyway, so again, the Clingman, Clingmans Dome in Great Smoky Mountains National Park, the McAfee Knob in Virginia, and the White Mountains in New Hampshire. Beautiful, all beautiful. So hikers can also visit picturesque towns and villages along the trail. You can go to Hot Springs in North Carolina. I would encourage you, if you love old towns like that, Hot Springs in North Carolina, and Harper's Ferry in West Virginia, where they can rest, resupply, experience local culture. Both are great places. Hot Springs, North Carolina, and Harper's Ferry, in West Virginia. Oh yeah, you've been to? Oh, Sister Jennifer says I love Hot Springs. Yeah, Hot Springs is beautiful. North Carolina is a Gosh, a beautiful state. Beautiful state. So the Appalachian Trail offers a host of recreation opportunities as well: hiking, backpacking, camping, wildlife watching. Hikers can choose to embark on a day's hike, section hikes, through hikes, which involve completing the entire trail in just one continuous journey. And for those seeking a challenge, the Appalachian Trail provides opportunities for rock climbing. Could you see me rock climbing? I would have to call the Mr. Producer and say, Mr. Producer, I'm sorry, I broke both my legs, both my arms, broke my back, broke my neck. Now you got to do the show. I can't do it. You know what and he said, what'd you do? I climbed 2 feet up off the ground. I would end up breaking every bone in my body. 2 feet. So, but anyway, rock climbing, kayaking, winter sports in certain sections. And additionally, the trail is a prime location for bird watching. With a chance to see a variety of avian species, including warblers, hawks. I love hawks. Woodpeckers, although hawks are kind of mean. But I love the, I don't know, there's ravens. I love the sound of a raven. This is pretty good. Anyway, so the Appalachian Trail is protected by a network of agencies and organizations dedicated to conservation and preservation. I got to give this presentation first before we get to the spooky stuff, because this is important. So volunteers and trail maintainers work tirelessly to maintain the trail. They clear debris, which is good, protecting the surrounding ecosystem. Please, folks, if you go on the big hike, please don't litter. Please do not litter, and do not feed the animals. They're not your pet. That really irritates me when I see people feeding animals, the wild animals. That's stupid, and it's very irresponsible. And here's why. I saw a video of someone on the Appalachian Trail feeding throwing food to a bear. That makes me so mad. Because what happens is bears then see humans and they get acclimated to, okay, bear and humans, or humans equals food. So then they come closer and closer to humans, thinking they're getting food. And, they are wild animals and they attack. And then unfortunately, depending on the attack, they have to be put down. So it's so irresponsible. Just do not, I know you're trying to be nice and feed the animals, but don't do that. Please don't do that. Because it really does confuse the wild animals. And then when they see humans, they immediately think, okay, food. So just don't do that. Now, visitors are encouraged to practice leave no trace principles, respecting the environment and minimizing their impact on the trails and its inhabitants. So by supporting conservation efforts, by the way, the reason is I'm talking so much about this because I used to work for the Department of Fish and Wildlife, Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife. So many years ago, in the 1920s, when I used to be a camp counselor for the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife. And we taught conservation. And we would teach, kids responsibility and what comes with gun ownership or hiking or certainly hunting. And because we are in Kentucky, and that was important as a conservationist, as I am. I believe we have to, it was an important thing. So I loved it. I loved working there. So anyway, the Appalachian Trail stands as a testament to the beauty of America's natural landscapes, and the spirit of adventure lies within us all. Whether you're an experienced hiker or novice explorer, there is something for everyone to discover on this historic trail. So I encourage you to lace up your boots, pack your bags, set out on your own Appalachian Trail adventure. Now, technically, it actually stretches over 2,190 miles. And it starts from Springer Mountain, if you guys want to know the specifics, Springer Mountain in Georgia, to Mount Caden, or I think it's Caden, in Maine. And the Appalachian Trail is a marvel of human dedication and natural beauty. But, amidst its breathtaking landscapes, there lurk shadows of ancient stories and modern-day apparitions that are somewhat frightening. And that's what we're going to talk about in just one moment. So hopefully, hopefully that was hold on one second. Hold on. All right. And for those of you, TikTok and Facebook and YouTube, I'm getting ready to play scary music, and it's royalty free. Okay. Because we have to have cool music. We have to have cool, scary music. So long before Benton McKay's dream took shape, the Appalachian Mountain homes were to numerous Native American tribes, including the Cherokee, which, by the way, I'm a descendant of. My grandmother and my grandfather were both Cherokee. My grandmother was a member of the Pocahontas Women's Club, and my grandfather was a member of the red-faced men, I believe that's what they were called, and pretty cool. So I don't know why it's not playing. Sorry guys, I'm just kind of. Oh, there we go. Now these tribes revered the mountains as sacred spaces, full of spirited entities that govern the natural world. And as European settlers moved in, these sacred sites were often disrupted. And if the music's too loud, just let me know. Leading to tales of restless spirits and vengeful entities. So the most famous among these tales is the legend of the Tulkala. It's a Cherokee term. It translates as slant-eyed giant, or also known as the Great Lord of the Game. So this creature was said to roam the mountains, protecting the land from those who would harm it. And whispers among hikers tell of encounters with a towering, shadowy figure that disappears into the mist, leaving behind huge footprints and an eerie sense of being watched. And yes, I do believe in Bigfoot. And again, just let me know. I just like, if the music is too annoying, just let me know. If it's too loud, let me know. So as we move through the years, the ghosts don't fade away. They grow in number and intensity. And there have been numerous accounts from hikers who have experienced the inexplicable and terrifying. So let's talk a couple of them. The ghost of Jenny Knob Shelter. Well, thank you. One popular stop on the Appalachian Trail is the Jenny Knob Shelter in Virginia. So legend has it that in the late 19th century, a young girl named Jenny was taken by a family of settlers to help on their homestead. Tragically, Jenny met her end under mysterious circumstances, either succumbing to an unknown illness or perishing in a very cruel accident. Today, hikers tell tales of feeling a cold presence near the shelter, which is still there, by the way, hearing the distant cries of a young girl, or even catching glimpses of a spirit in old-fashioned clothing, wandering the vicinity, seeking peace that never comes. Again, for those of you who want to know, that is a lot of people say that they can, see this. It's Jenny Knob, Knob Shelter in Virginia. There's also the story and the legend of the White Blazes of Terror. So it's another eerie account, comes from the trail known as the White Blazes, which guides hikers through the dense forest. So many hikers have claimed to see flickering lanterns off the path, which upon closer inspection reveal no source. And these phantom lights are believed to be the spirits of lost hikers who met their untimely end in these woods, forever searching for a way out. Some even say that they have heard disembodied voices. Disembodied voices means you can actually hear it with your own ears. So they say that they can hear disembodied voices calling their names, leading to a chilling realization that the voices know them intimately, though they've never ventured these paths before. Another tale is the tale of the Dutchman's Inn. And that's in the heart of Pennsylvania. So you're walking through, and now you've come to Pennsylvania, and it lies in an abandoned structure It's known as the Dutchman's Inn. It is said to be haunted by the spirits of a group of outlaws who once used it as their hideout. Now, they were betrayed by one of their own and met a gruesome end when local villagers stormed the inn. And visitors claim that on stormy nights, especially stormy nights, the air grows very thick with the spectral echoes of gunshots and the anguished cries of those betrayed souls, forever replaying their tragic last moments. The mysterious deaths of through hikers, THRU, through hikers is what they call them. They're just walking through. So even in recent times, the Appalachian Trail has not been free from tragedy, because in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, there have been several cases of hikers who were found unalived under suspicious and unsettling circumstances. The most notable is the case of Meredith Emerson. So for those of you who want to look that up, Meredith Emerson in 2008. She was unalived, and that sent shockwaves through the hiking community. Stories of sightings from the area where she was last seen. People say that they saw a female figure who appears as a warning, urging those to venture too close to turn back. So she literally, people say that if they see her, she'll point towards going the opposite way, that you shouldn't be here. That's kind of crazy if you think about that, isn't it? Now, I have so many stories that I want to share with you guys. So let's share this story that I've spoken to a couple of people I read online. This is by Pat's Fan 618. And this is their experience while on the Appalachian Trail. And the question was, has there ever been anything that's actually been creepy, etc., when you're on the trail? And so they said, I was at Abington Gap Shelter. Abington Gap Shelter, just before Damascus. And it was cold, a very cold night. It had rained all day. It was also a new moon. I got out of my tent, probably around 10 p.m. to use the restroom. And the fog was so heavy, and with no moon, I lost sight of my tent. After walking about 5 feet away, it just disappeared into the fog. Luckily, the stake strings were reflective, so I could still find it, but the thought of not having my headlamp and getting turned around was scary. It got down to 30 degrees that night, and I woke up to my tent covered in snow. Another incident that wasn't creepy as much as just dangerous is that there was this couple at a shelter in North Carolina. Randomly, they just started fighting, like full-on brawl. Then she started yelling at him that she was going to call the FBI and tell them where he was, and that he knows, and he knew that he had federal warrants out on him. She said they did it again in the morning and turned out that he was armed, which he did not know. They did not know at the time. And if they had, said, I probably would have moved on because a felon with a firearm with violent tendencies is a bad recipe. That's scary stuff. Now that's not paranormal. That's frightening. Another story, Dharma 2112 says, I was in northern Massachusetts just about a day or so from crossing over into Vermont. So it was a bright, clear day, and I was on a long, straight stretch of pines with no real hills to obscure my sight. About 100 yards ahead of me, I noticed a guy with an old school giant framed pack and shorts, 70s style gym shorts. Kind of peculiar, but not really surprising. He was stopped on the trail, turned around, saw me, and then he walked off the left side. And when I got to where he was standing, just a few minutes later, I looked out to where he went. Nothing. The trees were thin and spread out, kind of reminded me of the Pine Barrens. So it was definitely strange. Never saw him again for the rest of the trail. I'm sure it was just a random guy out section hiking, they said, but His packing clothes really made my imagination run wild. Also heard stories about a ghost in that particular area, but not sure if they were just telling me that to mess with me after the fact. Also, just past the ferry in Maine, I had a dog-sized black cat dart out in front of me on the trail. Looked it up when I got home, and there's actual news story on what I saw somewhere else in New England. Still no idea what it was. There's a lot of people who actually see this person who is wearing these like 1970s clothing. Allegedly, the story behind it was a hiker. And this hiker was kind of inexperienced and had an accident falling off the trail. And a lot of people say that they see this this hiker there. Here's another story here. A blue Indian. That is the name of the person. Well, that's their username. Blue_Indian. Says section hiking with my fiance around Winding Stair Gap. That's where there is Winding Stair Gap in North Carolina. Stopped in the middle of the trail to prep for safety meeting. By the way, if you go to Winding Stair Gap in North Carolina, be careful. There are some beautiful trails in the Appalachian Mountains, but they're also incredibly dangerous. You can easily lose your footing, and there's not a whole lot that's going to keep you from going down. So they stopped in the middle of the trail to prep for a safety meeting, and the forest was spooky, silent, no birds, no bugs, no wind. Says neither of us were talking when all of a sudden 30 yards off trail and down slope, 4 to 6 trees the size of baseball bats started violently shaking. Then silence. Nothing. They said, I thought maybe a bear had decided to climb out of a tree, or maybe a tree fell. It was neither. Not even close. The hair on my body stood on end, and I felt an overwhelming urge to leave immediately. What can shake trees so violently? On another section of the hike, this time this person says I was camping on Trey Mountain in Georgia. Was relaxing post-dinner on a rock outcrop with 2 other hikers, a father and son. We were discussing satellites and watching as they moved across the clear, cold night sky. They said I was watching what I thought was a satellite until the object stopped abruptly. It shot across the sky in the opposite direction, zoomed back across the night sky, bolted downward towards the skyline, then once more back up and vanished. The person says, I took a minute to digest what I saw before I could get the full sentence. Did you guys see that? Out of my mouth. They both replied, yep. Satellites don't change direction or move in that manner. There's a lot of people, folks, that I'm telling you, if you've been on the Appalachian Trail, and if you've seen these creepy things, there's a lot of people who swear that UFOs are abundant. Well, thank you there, Jeff. That they are everywhere. So if you've ever been on the Appalachian Trail, and if you've ever experienced that, let us know. I would love to hear your story. Here's a story called Haunting of Bear Hollow. Haunting of Bear Hollow. This is creepy. David, a lifelong wilderness enthusiast, had spent countless weekends hiking the Appalachian Trail with maps and gear well prepared, and he felt confident about a solo trek through a particularly remote section known as Bear Hollow. Now, the area was infamous for its rugged beauty and the whispers of local lore, stories that David largely dismissed as mere legends meant to entice tourists. And setting off early on a crisp autumn morning, David marveled at the vibrant beauty of gold and crimson leaves painting the landscape. The trail was quiet, and save for the occasional rustle of wildlife, and as the sun began its descent, casting long shadows through the forest, David pushed onward toward a predetermined campsite deep within Bear Hollow. and by twilight, a soft mist gathered in the low-lying areas, lending the forest an ethereal beauty. So the path twisted and turned, even more serpentine, like a snake, until David spotted the iconic rock formations that marked his intended campsite. So relieved, he dropped his pack with a sigh and began setting up for the night. As the evening sky darkened, a chilling gust swept through the hollow, sending leaves swirling in frantic dances. And David shivered, suddenly aware that the air held an unnatural cold, far more biting than the season warranted. Nonetheless, determined not to succumb to irrational fears, he built a hearty fire and settled into a quiet dinner, the warmth of the flames offering comfort. And by the way, this story is someone that I interviewed. And so he was telling a story. So this is what I'm sharing with you. Yet beneath the crackle of the burning wood, the peculiar sound broke the forest symphony, a faint, rhythmic thump, like footsteps echoing in the distance. And peering into the encroaching darkness, David saw nothing but the long shadows of trees. And dismissing the noise of it as an echo of some distant animal, he returned to his meal, forcing himself to focus on the mundane task of camp life. So the footsteps, however, persisted, louder now, deliberate. And David grabbed his flashlight, its beams slicing through the inky blackness. And as he swept the light across his surroundings, a figure briefly came into view. A man, or something like one, standing unnaturally still at the edge of the clearing. The man wore tattered hiking attire, his form barely substantial, as though woven from shadow and mist. Heart pounding, rationality battled with fear. He says, "Hello." And David's voice cut through the night and kind of echoed, met with a forced, smothering silence. So the figure seemed to dissolve into the background, leaving David questioning his senses. Exhaustion, he reasoned, and perhaps the playful tricks of moonlight. And he returned to the fire, though inexplicably drawn to keep, checking on the tree line. And as the embers died down, the oppressive quiet of the forest bore a weight that settled heavily on his chest. So deciding he needed rest, yet knowing sleep would be elusive, he crawled into his tent, zipping it against the encroaching cold. And why did it feel sharper inside the tent than out? Did the tent fabric fail to provide the barrier it once had? And beneath his layers and sleeping bag, warmth just didn't come. The footsteps, however, drummed again, closer and closer, tracing a slow circle around his shelter. And shaking off a creeping dread, David listened intently, heart thudding in his chest. And suddenly, a cacophony of whispers filled the air. Their tones was a chilling mixture of pleading and anger, overlapping and indistinguishable. So he couldn't hear them. He didn't know what it was. They didn't know what they were saying. And fighting a mounting panic, David unzipped the tent just enough to peer outside. And from the darkness, a deathly pale face hovered inches from his. Eyes wide, filled with an unbearable sadness that rooted him on the spot. And the ghostly image mouthed silent words, compelling in their urgency. But David's word couldn't decipher. So he was trying to say something to David. And in the depth of those eyes, he saw flashes of memories, not his own, but rather he says he saw a group of hikers long past. There was a treacherous storm, a lost path in this very hollow, their voices swallowed by the mountain's relentless hunger. So desperation overrode their ghost paralysis. David bolted from the tent, grabbing a nearby branch to swing anywhere he could at the apparition. And his frantic steps led him crashing through the undergrowth until he stumbled into the open below a canopy of stars. gasping for air in an overwhelming terror. So morning came, and he says that gave him some assurance in the phantoms of night evaporating with the dawn mist. So David gathered his belongings with haste, leaving the hollow hastily with the sunlight marking his steps, never looking back. Now, here's what's interesting about this place. Later, he learned of a hiking group that actually had gone missing decades prior, and their last known venture was through Bear Hollow. And the memory of their haunted guide lingered. And at home, seated safe and surrounded by the normalcy of life, the trail maps remained untouched. Whispers of Bear Hollow's ghost continued to dance at the edge of David's dreams. So if you ever hear Bear Hollow's ghost, that is a story. That's kind of creepy, isn't it? So yeah, when he was telling me about this, he was very animated, and you clearly I clearly understood that this was something that changed his life, and it was scary for him. Here's another individual that I talked to. I didn't talk to the whole group, but I talked to one individual in this group, and I want to share this story with you, and it's pretty wicked. So as the sun descended behind the jagged silhouettes of the Appalachian Mountains, there was an eerie, like a crimson glow. And there were 5 seasoned hikers prepared to venture into the vast wilderness. For those of you just joining us, I'm Bishop Long, and I'm talking about real stories, real ghost stories, ghost encounters, people who have hiked the Appalachian Trail, and I'm sharing some of those stories with you. So there were 5 seasoned hikers, and they were prepared to venture into the vast wilderness. Fine. And the names was Sarah, Mark, Lisa, Ben, and Tom. So they had long planned this escapade, and they were drawn by stories of the trail's untamed beauty and legends. They were interested in finding out if any of this was true. So day turned to dusk as they settled on a trail, veering away from the more common paths and aiming for a secluded spot known as Raven's Peak. So look, you can look that up if you want. Raven's Peak. It's a place reputed for its undisturbed views and unsettling past. See, legend had it that the indigenous people once considered this peak sacred. It's a threshold between the worlds where spirits roam freely. And they laughed, and the laughter and the chatter kind of slowly faded into silence as the forest grew dense. The light faded further, with only the crescent moon to guide their way. So the trees seemed to close in on them, they said. Their gnarled branches like skeletal fingers, and as they trudged deeper, it's an unnatural chill enveloped them. The goosebumps on their skin, despite the warmth of the exertion. Sarah says, are you guys feeling that cold draft? Trying to mask the unease creeping into her voice, and her words hung in the air and as if swallowed by the dark. And then Ben, the most superstitious among them, he kind of said nervously, he said about ghost stories that he heard, says we might just meet the Lady of the Woods tonight. And that's the legend. So it's a reference, it's a local tale about a woman who vanished on the trail decades ago, said now to wander the forest at night, searching for her way home. So about an hour into the hike, the group reached a broad clearing, and its grasses shimmering under the moonlight. It seemed surreal, like otherworldly. It's a perfect spot, they thought, to set up camp. So they unpacked their gear, and Lisa noticed something kind of strange, though. She said that there were stones arranged in concentric circles. They were scattered across the ground, and the patterns were strange. Too deliberate to have been like the work of nature. Someone put them there. And Mark had mentioned that he thought someone was playing tricks, but no one laughed. And they just describe it as the atmosphere felt charged. Each stone like an invisible border that they didn't want to cross. Thank you. So later they huddled around a crackling fire and the conversation shifted into lighter topics, trying to kind of get rid of the tension that had settled over them. But every now and then, Sarah would catch movement in her peripheral vision. She said she'd see shadows darting between the trees. They heard whispering voices beyond them, but they couldn't tell what they were saying. So as the night deepened, Tom stood up and he said, he had to use the restroom. So he joked about not getting lost. His flashlight cutting thin beams through the darkness, and minutes stretched into 20, then 30. Then a growing worry spread among the group. They called out his name, but he didn't answer. And so Tom's flashlight was actually seen flickering in the distance. Its beam were kind of going everywhere. And they were afraid, so they ran toward the light, and only to find Tom standing eyes wide, completely a blank stare. He was whispering nonsensical phrases, in a slow, monotonous chant, almost as if he was in a trance. And they were screaming his name, Tom, Tom, snap out of it. And they even shook him by the shoulders. And then finally his eyes cleared. And he was shaking. So he looked at them and he said he couldn't remember anything. Nothing. Since he left the camp, he remembered nothing. His last memory, he said he heard like a sweet, unsettling lullaby that was kind of drawing him into the woods. And he wanted to see who was singing that. And fearful but unwilling to abandon their adventure, so the group decided to huddle together until dawn and said no one else is to wander off. Needless to say, they didn't sleep very well. So each time one of them dozed, they were awakened by horrid dreams of shadowy figures roaming the woods. And as the light broke over the mountain, revealing the mist, soaked earth, they immediately packed up. And the sinister whispered promises of the night chills still rang in their ears. So the hike back seemed, it was just they were kind of quiet, and they didn't really talk much. Just like a snapping of a twig on this walking back on this trail. And they finally returned to the main trail, and finally they were able to breathe like a collective sigh. And each member silently vowed never to speak of the night at Raven's Peak. But I had the opportunity to speak to a couple of it, so it's chilling whispers echoing in the depths of their memories. And they even to this very day, they were when they were trying to explain this to me, they were frightened. They were legitimately frightened. And I would be too. I mean, if you had the situation as Tom did, and he just totally oblivious. He just almost catatonic. Completely catatonic. So let's talk a little bit about some other locations on the Appalachian Trail and give you a little bit more information. This is by Joanne Snavely. Joanne Snavely. She said the ghost train on Boston Bridge. So they said this specific story is one that I'm quite familiar with. Growing up, I found that my parents took different approaches to bedtime stories. For my mom, it was fairy tales about happy little chicken, whereas my dad would scare us to sleep. She said, I grew up hearing my father read excerpts from a book about the ghosts and hauntings in North Carolina on the Appalachian Trail. So here's the story. In the summer of 1891, a train loaded with a route set to Asheville around 3 a.m. Thank you. And the train approached the Boston Bridge in Statesville, North Carolina, where the train plummeted into a nearby creek. 22 passengers were unfortunately passed away due to a drowning, and the cause of the wreck is still unknown. Now, as legend goes, 50 years later to the day, a woman waited alongside a road parallel to this bridge due to a car troubles, and before leaving that afternoon, she heard train whistles. And it's said to have witnessed the train rushing through the trees before plummeting into the same creek that it did 50 years prior. The story doesn't end there. Almost 70 years later, the story was still prevalent, and the unsolved nature of this mystery inclined a few amateur ghost investigators to explore the bridge. And at 3 a.m., around the same time as the original ghost sighting, a train approached the Boston Bridge, with the investigators believing the train was the aforementioned ghost train. They stayed on the tracks before quite literally being hit by a real train. And out of the 12 hunters, investigators, 1 passed and 2 were injured. Wow. So, by the way, they said that the author says it's very obvious that the train accident itself did occur. That's actually a real story, but it is unclear if what occurred 50 years later did. This person says, however, was raised by a true ghost believer. So anyway, obviously the 2010 tragedy certainly. So it was 2010 when the investigators did have this situation, and you got to be careful when you're investigating. So that is a true story. Also on the Appalachian Trail, I do believe that there are too many people who are experiencing activity on the Appalachian Trail. Too many people. And some of these stories, these encounters, they're very vivid, very, very descriptive. And the people that I have spoken to about, their own experience, it still shakes them up a bit when they talk about it. Now, one place that we talked about, Willie Windwalker Gibson was with us, and he did a presentation. We did a lecture on the Bell Witch haunting, which, by the way, the Bell Witch is located there on the Appalachian Trail or near it. So the Bell Witch hauntings began when John Bell, his wife Lucy Bell, and their children moved from North Carolina to present-day Adams, Tennessee. One gruesome day in 1817, John Bell would discover a horrifying animal that was said to have the body of a dog with the head of a rabbit. Oh my gosh, it's already 8 o'clock. Sorry, I have to do a little quick TikTok thing. So anyway, from there, the Bell family would find themselves the victims of strange hauntings, and the family claimed to hear knocking outside of their home at all hours of the night. Whenever the Bell family attempted to investigate, they came up empty-handed. Whatever entity was haunting them shortly began to harass the family inside their home, as the Bell children found their covers and pillows being yanked and thrown at them with no explanation. And eventually the hauntings were taken to a new extreme when the Bell Witch seemingly developed a voice. The family began hearing faint whispering from what seemed to be an older lady. And eventually the Bell's daughter would receive the brunt of the hauntings as she began to find her hair being pulled, body harmed, wet fingerprints lingering after the hauntings. And after the Bell family shared the hauntings with their neighbor, James Johnston, the Bell Witch would finally strike someone outside of the beloved Bell family. The Bell Witch haunted Mr. Johnson upon arrival and continued to haunt other visitors, including Andrew Jackson's entourage. 3 years later, after the hauntings began, John Bell took his final breath, and the Bell Witch left shortly after. And the witch was said to have returned multiple times after then, and even today, you can visit the supposed Bell Witch Cave in Adams, Tennessee, where it is said you can find remnants of the Bell Witch's hauntings. So the haunting was also the inspiration of multi-different horror films and television production like The Blair Witch Project, The Bell Witch Haunting, and other books and movies. Yeah, Willie Windwalker was up there, and they did a presentation on it. He absolutely is. He's a firm believer in the Bell Witch. The author says, I think the story may have been rooted in truth. Maybe there was perhaps few supernatural sightings that occurred in the early 1800s. In fact, she says, I will go as far as say that I do believe that most things leading up to John Bell's death occurred. And so there we go. Also, on the Appalachian Trail, Mothman. And we're going to talk about maybe my experience. Well, thank you. We're going to talk about my experience. Perhaps maybe I saw Mothman at the gates of Hell Cemetery. I don't know what I saw, but I know I saw something. 92,000 likes. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much on TikTok for the 92,000 likes. So now moving upwards towards West Virginia, you will find the home for the original Mothman sightings. The author says, in November of 1966, an article on the Point Pleasant Register was published with the title Couples See Man-Sized Bird Creature Something. This article depicted a spotting of a man-sized bird that was seen at a local park. On a double date, Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Mollett stumbled upon a creature with glowing red eyes. The creature was also described as a slender, muscular man. This is what I think what I saw, who was around 7 feet tall with white fangs. I didn't see fangs. The couple fled from the scene immediately before being reportedly attacked by the bird-like creature and chased outside the Point Pleasant. And following the initial sighting, there were multiple other sightings reported across multiple different sources in the Point Pleasant area. The name Mothman stemmed from the Batman villain Killer Moth, who had a similar description and was depicted with a similar characteristics. Since then, the Mothman has been connected to military bases, UFOs, and other beings. Now, many sightings still occur to this day, with over 55 sightings reported in 2017 alone. And we're going to do a couple more. There's also the Flat Woods Monster that some people claim that's on the Appalachian trails. The Flat Woods Monster has been haunting good old West Virginia since 1952. And this would occur when brothers Edward and Fred May and their friend Tommy Heyer witnessed a bright, unidentified object fly through the sky before landing on a local farmland. The three boys teamed up with Kathleen May to search for the aforementioned UFO. Instead of being the first ever people to witness aliens, they were witnesses to a tall man-like figure with a round red face who wore a pointed hood. And there were multiple other sightings of the Flat Woods Monster, and it is said that he still haunts West Virginia to this day. There's a lot of people who, a mythological creature, we don't know. Many people say that this creature could have been Bigfoot. Some people say it could have been Mothman. We just simply know. We don't know. Now, there are superstitions. So let's talk a little bit about superstitions, and we'll get a few more stories. It says here, now these are the superstitions that the old timers have said on the if you're going about on the Appalachian Trail. This is what they say you need to make sure you do or don't do. First, never close a knife you didn't open, or you'll have bad luck for 7 years. Also, it says keep a penny in your washer. These are Appalachian superstitions. Don't wash clothes on New Year's Day, or you will wash a family member out. Don't walk under a ladder. If you find yourself under one, don't turn around, back up. Don't let anyone sweep under your feet. If a bad storm is coming, put a two-edged axe into a stump facing the storm to ensure the storm goes around you. Don't cut your baby's hair before their first birthday. Don't let a pregnant woman see a person who's no longer alive, or the baby will have a birthmark. That was important because a lot of people thought that a birthmark is a sign that you are a witch. Superstitions. Hold your breath when you pass a cemetery, or you'll be the next. If you're walking with someone, you have to go on the same side of a post or obstacle, or it will break your friendship. Never leave a rocking chair, or you will invite spirits. There's also this belief that you should never whistle. Have you ever heard of that story? Never whistle while you're on the Appalachian Trail. Do you know why? Let me see what you guys. Let me see if you guys know why. Why should you not whistle on the Appalachian Trail? Let me see if anyone. Let's see if you paranormal enthusiasts know. Thank you very much for subscribing. Anybody? Well, okay. Yeah. To anybody? Mimics, that's why whistlers, mother will come. There's several. There's several kind of, it's technically a lot of people argue that this is originating in the Navajo belief system. and it's generally accepted throughout all the Indian country by many tribes, Native Americans. Um, some say you can invite something evil. So there's the belief in some of the indigenous, I guess, folks who live there, that it attracts mythical creatures that they call big weed, or some people say grass quatch or grass squatch, Sasquatch. And so many people say that you can attract a Sasquatch, a Bigfoot, especially if they whistle back, and or the Wendigo. Yeah. So yeah, you should never, yeah, never. A lot of people say that never, 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 never. Yeah, you should. Some people are absolutely convinced. I don't know. I don't know if but you absolutely need to be careful if you're wandering around the Appalachian woods. You got to be careful because it's very, very easy to get lost, because it can be disorienting, and if you're not careful, well, it could be trouble. Okay, I'm going to close this out. Yeah, a lot of people say that they do hear a whistle back, and this is one. A lot of people say this is one way that you can communicate with Bigfoot. So if it does whistle back, don't don't go. Don't go towards the whistle. Stay at night. Yeah. Yeah, it's folklore. I mean, yeah, it is. It is. Um, most indigenous, at least in that area, believe that one should never whistle at night. And because it takes many forms, this belief takes many forms. For instance, Native Hawaiians believes that it summons a spirit, the spirit of ancient warriors, and even Mexicans call it lechuza. It's a witch, can transform into an owl. So there's a lot that also that it can attract spirits or evil spirits. And never. There's also some other rules if you're going the Appalachian. Never be in the woods from dusk till dawn. Thank you. Never leave the marked trail. It's marked off for a reason. If you hear voices close to you, they're far away. Don't try to go to them. Do not whistle or sing in the woods because you can attract spirits. And there's also the old superstitions that never look too deep into the woods because you might see something. So there we go. Yeah, it's pretty scary stuff. Okay. There's also the Appalachian tunnels. If you've never heard of that, it's been rumored that some quite unusual creatures who have escaped from a secret underground experimental lab roam around the Appalachian Trail. And they seem to be similar to humans, but very different from them. So this is local folklore, if you will. It's rumored that their home is mostly the secret underground tunnels along the trail. And such tunnels have indeed been found in the face of remnants of an old military base in the Blue Ridge Summit. So please stay away from those. The Appalachian tunnels can be quite scary. I know some people who have done that, and I think they probably saw something like a bear or an animal. There is a legend for hundreds of years that there is a creature looking that's similar to a dog, and which has been scaring off both people and animals so coming across his way. So while the so-called scary dog isn't actually doing anything, the terror of seeing him is causing incidents. So the hikers are forced to take another more difficult route on the Appalachian Trail because this scary looking dog is blocking the easier path. So what he does, this is primarily South Mountain, Maryland. And if you see this dog, a lot of people believe this is that this is actually evil, trying to force you off the unbeaten path so that you can be harmed. Again, we talked about Bigfoots, and in the Blue Ridge Mountains, really, it's really heavy there. in the Appalachian Mountains. So if you want to go there, the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains, a lot of people swear that they have seen Bigfoot there. There's also the Brown Mountain Lights. It's also called ghost lights. And it is claimed that the Brown Mountain Lights are glowing spheres in the sky in different yellowish colors. It's also said that they have been happening for over a century, yet their occurrence now is a rarity. Now, reports of them began before the 20th century. They're also present. And that is why there are a variety of legends that explain their origin. And one of the most famous ones is that these are the souls of Native American women searching for their loved ones who passed away in the battle between the Cherokee and another tribe. And another popular legend is that these lights are the torch of individuals that continue searching for, their way back home. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, isn't it? Now, there's a alleged people. I have not had the opportunity to speak to anybody who's seen these people yet, but I've read a lot of stories where people claim to see a moon-eyed people. M-O-O-N, moon-eyed people. They're claimed to be the first European settlers, long before Christopher Columbus discovered America. So the moon-eyed people were told to be the inhabitants of the Smoky Mountains before the Cherokee tribe. And Native American legend describes them as short, blue-eyed people with fair skin and hair who became active at night, just like animals. And it has been rumored that they had been unable to see during the day. And that is why in their cave settlement was centered around night activity. And due to this, they were named moon-eyed people. And the mystery around their existence continues to live on. And by the way, visitors can see a stone wall located in the Fort Mountain State Park that the moon-eyed people are believed to have left behind. That's pretty cool. I read up on the moon-eyed people. That's pretty neat. That really is neat. There's also called the Wampus Cat. The Wampus Cat. And representing another forest half animal, half human creature. The legendary of the Wampus Cat derives from the Native American tribe Cherokee story. It's said that the Wampus Cat came into existence when a Native American woman was expelled from the tribe, having been cursed for witnessing forbidden rituals. And walking across her village, she hid under thick fur and became one with it, becoming the Wampus Cat. It's a popular belief that this half woman, half creature still haunts and hunts the Appalachian Mountains. And by the way, a statue of the Wampus Cat has been built in front of Conway High School in Conway, Arizona. Isn't that pretty cool? And we have the Pierce Pond Ghost. The Pierce Pond Ghost. It's a tranquil fishing area along the beautiful Appalachian Trail. And Pierce Pond has often been connected with a dark, eerie figure that appears at night and scares off hikers and fishermen. And the first one to have an encounter with such a creature happened to be a night camper on the lake, which had come for fishing. Having been scared to his bones, he never returned again to the lake. But the rumors of paranormal activity on the pond still haunt the Appalachian Trail. We have to go find this Pierce Pond Ghost, don't we? Come on, everybody here, let's take a field trip. And Mr. Producer is going to go with us. He's going to go with us, and we're all going to get a bus and go through the Pierce Pond Ghost. And Mr. Producer will stay safely in the bus. And Mr. Producer will be out in the tent at the Pierce Pond Ghost. He can tell us all about it. Sounds good? I agree. Sounds like a plan. That sounds like a definite plan. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, everybody say, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah, everybody. Okay. Are you guys interested in more? I could do 3 hours. You want more? I have some more stories. some really even creepier stories. You guys want to know more stories? More stories on the Appalachian Trail? I have Ricola. But Miss Judy Ann got me. Okay. All right, let's go. This is by Jacoby Bancroft. Jacoby Bancroft. So here's a story here. Tracked by unknown forces. A young couple was hiking on the Appalachian Trail in the southern part of Virginia when experienced something they could not explain. So while they were asleep in their tent one night, they suddenly woke up to the sound of rustling and odd noises coming from outside their tent. The man went out to investigate and managed to scare off some figures he saw lurking around. He almost chased after them, but then decided against it. The next night, they made camp with their backs to a cliff in order to be more prepared. They both slept with weapons next to them, and sure enough, the figures returned. Once the man announced that they were armed, the figures retreated. The next day, the couple hustled to get out of there. Around midday, they rounded a corner and saw a silhouette of a figure standing in the distance, watching them from afar. And they were quickly able to get off the trail and back to civilization, but the whole time they felt they were being watched. And they probably were. See, this is the Appalachian Trail is a scary place. Not just paranormal, but I mean, there's some creepy people that hang out there. In 1988, a man was hiking along the trail when he underwent an awful experience, perhaps more frightening than a ghostly encounter. See, he was hiking on the trail when he noticed a bright light coming from the forest next to him. Not wanting to bother anyone, he didn't investigate, but set up camp somewhere close by. He awoke in the middle of the night to find a man standing over his hammock. Oh, no. Startled, the man quickly fled and yelled to unseen people that the hiker was awake. The hiker was terrified, quickly packed up, put as much distance between them as possible. A few days of nonstop hiking finally allowed the hiker to relax a bit, but that night, he was sleeping in his hammock when suddenly he was cut down, wrapped up, dragged away. He was attacked, and while the people shouted at one another as they were preparing something, luckily the hiker was able to cut through the hammock and escape, even though he made it back to civilization. Police inquiries into finding the people who did this came back with nothing. Nope. Mm-mm. No. I don't think so. Here is the phantom of the Appalachian Trail. Let me fix this here. In 1972 of May, a hiker saw a ghost from another time. So the hiker was walking along and noticed a heavy ground fog has started to surround him. And he looked up and saw a person walking with a heavy coat and a wide-brimmed hat. The man slowly staggered about, looking at the ground as if he was looking for something he had lost. The man started walking toward the hiker, still looking down to the ground, so the hiker moved to avoid him. When they were close to each other, the man suddenly looked at the hiker, who instantly became afraid of the man's cloudy blue eyes that stared straight through him. He was also shocked to realize that the man's clothes all seemed to come from a different time period. The hiker tried to say hello, but the man did not respond. And after the hiker walked a little distance, he turned back only to discover the man had completely disappeared. There's a lot of people who say that they are seeing this man. This is quite a few people who say this. And we talked about the Pierce Pond ghost. And here's another story from the Pierce Pond. It's where we're going to go. We're going to take Mr. Producer, and he's going to go hiking. He's going to go camping out there, and we're going to see. Well, thank you for subscribing. We're going to stay in the safe confines of, I don't know, whatever, a bus. And he's going to go out. Mr. Producer is going to go out on a tent. So, Mr. Producer, you've been nominated. He's going to go out and he's going to take. Thank you, Desiree. He is going to take a flimsy little $20 tent because he's got to take one for the team. And he's going to go to the Pierce Pond Ghost. And Mr. Producer, we're going to lock the door to the bus. The door's going to be locked. So you got to go out there by yourself in a $20 flimsy tent in the Pierce Pond Ghost. And if you come running to the bus, I'm sorry, the door's locked. I don't know how to open it. I'm naturally blonde. Here's the story. A man was hiking along Pierce Pond in Maine when he experienced a fright that he will never forget. One night, he was enjoying his campfire when he suddenly spotted a figure walking a short distance away from his campsite. It was ghostly in appearance. Looked like a woodsy outdoorsman type with what appeared to be fishing gear. It wasn't long before the figure faded into the night. The man didn't know what to think of it, but the next day, the ghostly figure returned. Only this time, it stopped to stare at the hiker. And getting the message, the hiker abandoned his camp, ran off into the forest. He hid behind a tree and waited until morning to return, pack up his stuff, and get out of there quickly. I don't know. What's interesting about that story is this. There's what's called residual haunting. Residual haunting is when it's the energy just repeats itself. It doesn't know that you're there. There is no intellect. It's just residual. It just keeps going over and over and over and over. But the fact that this spirit stopped and looked the man, that's no longer residual. He's acknowledging that this person exists, this man. So that's pretty interesting. Okay. There's a Civil War soldiers haunt Maryland. In 1862, 3 major Civil War battles were fought over different passes on what is now the Maryland section of the Appalachian Trail. Many lives were lost in this terrible war. And the death count was so high that it seems that some spirits still remain. So people hiking over the passes report seeing ghost soldiers, odd campfires, and even the sounds of cannons blasting in the distance. And on top of all that, near the farm of a man named Daniel Wise. So you can look this up in Maryland, Daniel Wise. The bodies of 58 soldiers, they were just kind of tossed down a well. And that has caused some reports of ghostly figures wandering around Wise's property. So again, the name is Daniel Wise. And if you want to know where this is, there you go. There's also in Dudleytown, Connecticut. Dudleytown, Connecticut. There is a village. This village is called the Village of the Damned. So Dudleytown, Connecticut has an ominous nickname, the Village of the Damned. It's called that because of its horrifying history. See, it was founded by descendants of Edmund Dudley. And he was unalived by Henry VIII for treason. So he was said to have cursed the land and cursed the family. And the Appalachian Trail runs right by it. Dudleytown was built in the 18th century and was abandoned in the 19th century, leaving only ruins in its wake. No one knows for sure why it was abandoned, but some people believe it's because residents who stayed there soon went insane after claiming that they were possessed by demons. Nowadays, people report seeing strange lights, hearing voices, and orbs surrounding the area. Wow. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I think we should also go to that place too. We need to go to the Village of the Damned, Dudleytown, Connecticut. And Mr. Producer is going to go out and again in the $20 tent, and he's going to go camp out there. We'll be safe and sound. No, in the RV. No worries. No worries. So we'll be chilling, drinking our hot chocolate and having a good time. While Mr. Producer is going to go out in this area, camp out, and he's going to tell us all about it. Fair enough? We're going to have a great show. I'm excited about this. Here's another one. Pursued by the scorched man. Yeah, must be a $20 tent. Pursued by the scorched man. Listen to this. In 2011, a man took a week off work to go hiking along the Appalachian Trail, but it turned out to be a frightening experience that he would never forget. So one night he heard noises coming from outside his tent, but didn't bother to go out to investigate. The following night, he was sitting around his campfire when suddenly he was shocked to see a man standing near his firewood. His hands and body were badly burnt, and his face was actually smoking. The man was too afraid to even move, and the burned figure just stared at him with vacant eyes before walking away. And this scared the man beyond all reason, and he quickly packed up to leave the area. And while leaving the trail, he came across a recently burned down house with a sheriff around it. The sheriff told the man that 4 days prior, the same day that the hikers started his trip, an entire family, unfortunately, succumbed to this terrible fire. So that's an old tale there. Here's the tale. This is kind of scary, though. Reported crime is rare on the Appalachian Trail, but it does occur. So reported crime is rare on the Appalachian Trail, which makes there's a story of Randall Lee Smith. Thank you. Listen to this, everybody. Randall Lee Smith. This makes it even more frightening. And back in the 1980s, Smith pleaded guilty to unaliving 2 hikers on the trail. He admitted to befriending and spending time with them on the trail, but then in the middle of the night, he unalived them. And he was sentenced to 30 years in prison, but ended up serving only half of his sentence. Guess what he did? Once he got out, he tried to do the exact same thing. He befriended 2 fishermen on the trail and tried to unalive them. They were attacked, but they survived. So Smith tried to flee the scene in a pickup truck, but he crashed and succumbed to his injuries a few days later. Again, if you want to look this up, Randall Lee Smith in the 1980s. See, that to me is more frightening than anything, that these true stories. Oh, got a private chat from Mr. Oh, no. Mr. Producer is saying, no way. No, that's not. Look, Mr. Producer, you have to take one for the team. Okay, so let's take one for the team. We got to do it. It's only fair. We have to take one for the team. And I think everybody, Mr. Producer is going to rent an RV, nice big RV for everybody, and we will be in the RV, and Mr. Producer will be in the $20 tent. Thank you. I think it's a good idea. You got to take one for the team, Mr. Producer. Okay. And then Miss Wilma can be with you, and both of you can scream. Yeah, I don't think he's going to do it. I think he's too scared. He's too scared. Appalachian Trail is a beautiful place. It really is, truly beautiful. But I do believe there are some incredibly haunted stories about the Appalachian Trails that I think should be taken seriously. And people are legitimately frightened of this area. There are some areas, everybody that I've spoken to about this, they've all said this: no matter what you do, if you go on to the trail, that's fine. But do not, under any circumstances, do not go off of the trail, the beaten path. Don't do that. Because if you do that, you're going to find yourself in some trouble. And so the people that have been on there who have experienced paranormal activity have all said, stay on the main trail. Don't leave the trail. Okay, so now we're opening up. We're really late on 8:30. I promised everybody that we would be that I would bring you guys on for Facebook, on TikTok, to open the chat open to everybody. So there you go. There is your presentation on these scary Appalachian trails. I have heard of the Eden bird. Matter of fact, let me just see. Bear with me, because I found something that I wanted to talk about next week. By the way, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So next week, if you like haunted houses, let's say you're because October is right around the corner, guys. So here's what I'm going to do. Next week's presentation is this, Mr. Producer. Here it is. I'm going to take all 50 states, and I'm going to present haunted locations, haunted houses that you can visit, top haunted houses that are supposed to be the scariest. And so if you're wanting to visit haunted houses in October for this Halloween, I'm going to give you a list of alleged scary haunted houses that you should go to. So that's going to be our presentation for next week, next Friday, which I think would be pretty cool, because we're getting close. We're getting really, really, really close. So, she did. There's a woman on TikTok who walked a big. Well, that's pretty cool. I'll have to look that up. So yeah, that's what we're doing next week. We're going to talk about haunted houses, and for each state, and we're going to kind of go through the list to tell you. Now, by the way, here's some stories, some paranormal stories that I want to share with you guys that I found on the net, and I want to share this with you guys. Listen to this. This is from WLKY News Channel 32. That's I like WLKY. It's in Louisville. This is by Sam Carter, who is a morning reporter. For those of you who like Waverly Hills, Waverly Hills Sanatorium's haunted house is expanding for a scarier experience this fall. Folks, if you have never been to Waverly Hills, it is a place that I encourage you to visit. If you love the paranormal, look, first of all, I love history. And the history of Waverly Hills is pretty intense. As a matter of fact, I think I'll do another presentation on Waverly Hills, because it's pretty remarkable. It really is. So maybe we'll do that in 2 weeks. But in Louisville, Kentucky, for those who believe the Waverly Hills Sanatorium is one of the most haunted buildings in the United States, it's not a belief about it. It's absolutely. And as a tour guide at Waverly Hills, Nicole Blair has experienced the paranormal activity for herself. She says, we were walking down the third floor, down to the end, and my hair was down. My coworker was on my left side. And then all of a sudden, my hair on the right-hand side, my hair just started going straight up, as though someone was pulling it. And on Friday, September 27th, the latest version of Waverly Hills Haunted House will be available to the public. So this year, the attraction has been expanded to include more jump scares and a new hidden 3D paint room. Through the years, thousands of people have reported encountering ghosts, shadows, and otherwise unexplainable within the halls of the old tuberculosis hospital. And while Blair won't guarantee that you're going to have the same experience, she will not rule it out either. She said, as far as the paranormal goes, you never stop experiencing it. And am I saying you will have experience every time you come here? No, that's just my paranormal activity. So this Saturday, the sanatorium will be hosting its second annual Ghost Town Gathering car show, with proceeds supporting mental health for veterans. So Waverly Hills is going to expand its haunted house, and we'll talk about that. Oh, if you've never been to Waverly Hills, it is amazing. It truly is. It's huge. It is huge. And the history of Waverly Hills is really, it's phenomenal. And I will do that. I probably maybe 2 weeks. How's that? Maybe 2 weeks I would love to do a show there. I did it one time before at Waverly. But the problem, the internet is so spotty. Just so spotty. Here's an interesting thing that I wanted to pass on to you guys as well, and see what you guys think about this. This is by netnews.com. This is interesting. Listen to this. Well, William, there's a lot. William says, what states seem to have most activities? Honestly, there are so many states that I can easily go through every single state, which I've done before. I've talked about haunted location for every single state, which we can do it again because I know there's a lot of new people who are just brand new. So maybe 3 weeks from now, I can take every single state and go over haunted locations in each state. Wow, we have 150,000 likes on our show tonight on TikTok. Well, thank you very much, TikTok. I appreciate all you guys being here, and thank you very much for the likes, and thank you for sharing as well. But listen to this: messages from beyond, celebs and their obsession with psychics. While it doesn't take a psychic to suggest a father-son reconciliation, King Charles, like many celebrities, consults fortune tellers for advice, insights, and maybe even lottery numbers. Well, I don't think Charles would. Not that he needs them. From Princess Diana to Brad Pitt, Kim Kardashian, and many stars look to the mystical for a little extra guidance. And this is by Inbal Hanel. Reports surfaced last week that King Charles actually sought out a spiritual guidance to mend fences with his estranged son, Prince Harry. And while you may think it doesn't take a spiritual guru to suggest father-son reconciliation, the king and many celebrities regularly consult fortune tellers for advice, insights, and maybe even some lottery numbers. Again, as I said. So in honor of that's pretty interesting. I didn't know that. Says here, yeah, that's so apparently he sought out a psychic to try to kind of reconciliation. But it says that since we started with King Charles and Prince Henry, it's only fitting to continue with another royal princess, Princess Diana. In 1992, Diana sought the wisdom of fortune teller Sally Morgan for life advice. I agree. User 3922. Did you ever see the painting of King Charles? It is creepy. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but if you have not seen the painting, the official painting of King Charles, I mean, it does look demonic. I don't know why in the world someone would think that would be a good idea. Yeah, and you can tell he wasn't really thrilled. But listen to this. Says, quote, Diana likely heard about me through a mutual friend Morgan shared in a 2021 interview with The Sun. She was just another client, but I sense a deep sadness within her. William and Harry were just 9 and 7 at the time, and she was beginning her separation from Charles. And over the next 4.5 years, we met in person 4 times, but had numerous phone callings. She says, I charged her $35, which is like everyone else. And Morgan revealed that Diana asked questions about her father, who had passed away that year, and whether she would ever become queen. She says, I knew it wouldn't happen, she said. I told her she needed to be careful because I felt she might get into trouble. She was silent, listened intently, and I knew she valued my insights. In 1995, she says, I predicted Diana would be photographed with a famous athlete and that a romance would develop. Not long after, she was photographed with rugby player Will Carling, who became one of her lovers. Morgan added that quote, Diana always worried about her fight for independence might affect William, and our conversations often end with, but William will become king, right? And I used to assure her that he would. And Morgan recalled August 31st, 1997, the night Diana had passed away, saying, quote, I was shocked and sad. I hadn't spoken to her for a year because she'd started seeing Dadi Afayed, a medium, but there were no hard feelings between us. 4 days after the funeral, Diana's sister, Lady Sarah Spencer, called me. She had been present during some of our conversations and reminded me of a reading I did for Diana in 1996, where I said I saw a queen being pulled from a car and resuscitated. And at the time, I assumed it was Queen Elizabeth II and was troubled by it, but although I didn't mention it to Diana. But Sarah believed I foresaw her sister's passing since Diana was everyone's Queen of Hearts. Although I didn't make the connection myself, I often wonder if she was right. Morgan also notes that she was George Michael's psychic and still advises Uma Thurman and other politicians. Isn't that interesting? Sally Morgan and Brad Pitt's psychic connection. So for over 2 decades, mega star Brad Pitt has turned to psychic Ron Bard, whom he met through his ex-wife, Jennifer Aniston. And during Pitt's marriage to Aniston, Brad predicted that Pitt would meet someone who would completely change his life. And shortly afterward, Pitt announced his burgeoning relationship with Angelina Jolie. In 2014, Bard told Pitt that Jolie would leave him, which turned out to be true. He also foresaw another marriage for Pitt, which we're still waiting on. Quote, Ron said it would end well with Angelina. A source close to Pitt shared, adding he kept the secret and ate it up inside. He really trusted Ron. And shortly before Bard's prophecy came true, Jolie demanded that Brad Pitt stop consulting his psychic. Angelina doesn't believe in supernatural powers and can't stand the fact that the father of her children is placing his future in a medium's hands. A source close to the actor said, now noting that Pitt sought Bard's advice on everything from professional decisions, spiritual guidance to matters of the heart. Quote, it annoys Angelina. She feels that Brad is overdoing it. After all, why not consult financial experts or an accountant about money matters? So Brad Pitt, hardcore, I guess, believer in the psychics. Another celebrity who doesn't make a move without spiritual guidance is Jennifer Lopez. This is pretty serious stuff. As you all know about Sean P. Diddy Combs, as most of you know the story, well, Jennifer Lopez's name has been running around there. So I tell you what, this is going to be a big issue. There's going to be a lot of people. You don't have to be a psychic to know this. There's going to be names that's going to be dropped that I think many people are going to be shocked. So another celebrity again, Jennifer Lopez. And despite her global fame, Lopez postponed her world tour 3 times because it clashed with her acting career. At one point, she began to doubt herself and her ability to go on such a tour until she remembered a reading from Jay Ray, who encouraged her to do it despite her fears, claiming it would help her grow and reach new heights. And it did. In 2012, Lopez finally embarked on her Dance Again world tour, which was a success. Jay Ray is a medium who reads tarot cards and offers spiritual advice. Quote, my biggest problem is that no one can define me. I'm very unique in what I do, she said in a 2021 interview with Bustle. She met Lopez in 2010 when Lopez Production Company was looking for a medium. Once Ray was found, Lopez flew her to her LA home, and Ray recalls arriving at the singer's home where she gave Lopez tips that she immediately implemented. And Ray refused to disclose the tips, but mentioned that the two are still in touch today. I will say this, and of course, I'm not going to mention names, so don't even bother to ask. But when I was at the doing the Eli Roth, the Legion of Exorcists show, I had mentioned that I would be flying to LA to film for the show. There were a couple of, 2 actually, very well-known celebrities that there's no way they could just go out like to a Walmart or something like that. Because they absolutely believed 100% that their home was infested with evil, and primarily because they moved into a home that had some issues and or they believed had issues, and so I blessed the home, and but it's very, very interesting. I guess the nicest way I could say this, the people that the mega celebrities, the really famous people that seem to be so strong, you know what I mean? To project this image. And, but yet it's interesting to see those individuals be so broken down with anxiety and frustration and even fear to a point of activity occurring in their home. So it was very nice people, very nice, very, very spiritual. I wouldn't necessarily call them, hardcore Christians or anything like that, but they're very spiritual, but more metaphysical. But it was very interesting to see that. It's really interesting to see this this projection of what you think the person is, and then when you meet them, and you see how not fragile, but how shaken how shaken that they were. So, but so I was able to do 2 blessings of pretty well-known celebrities. So, yeah, but it was pretty fascinating. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the second season of the Eli Roth show. We right now it's in hiatus. It has not been canceled. It's just in hiatus, and so we don't know. They could call us back, next month and say, okay, we want to film again. What I think, because it got really good ratings. The problem is when the writer's strike occurred, it really put everything. I mean, just everything. Things were canceled, hiatus. It put so many shows on back order. So we don't know. We don't know. Right now, it's technically in hiatus. So there we go. And that is the rest of that story. Tomorrow, when we're going to have open mic tomorrow. I'm not leaving yet, but tomorrow we're going to be here. I'm going to talk about some of the best alleged paranormal movies. So for those of you who like scary movies, we're going to talk about the ratings of some of the best scary movies, because Halloween is right around the corner, and we'll make sure we have a good time with that. So I'm looking forward to having that conversation. So we'll talk about this. I'm going to put this up here for a tomorrow conversation. And let's see. Ghost towns are interesting. Let me close this out. Listen to this story. Ghost towns are fascinating. But this is I want to share this article with you guys by Jess Flaherty. And this is based in Bodie Hills, California. Bodie Hills, California. The town was once a bustling place with an influx of miners, businesses, families, more, but now it's completely deserted. So it says there's an eerie yet captivating ghost town that seems to have been frozen in time in California. So the Golden State is a dream tourist destination thanks to its expensive beaches, vast deserts, and scenic backdrops. It's also home to Hollywood and countless sets and studios, making it a top bucket list place for many film buffs. But there's plenty more to see away from the bright lights of the La La Land. California is also home to Bodie, an abandoned town known for its many ghost sightings. See, this would be a cool place to go to. So based in Bodie Hills, east of the Sierra Nevada mountain range in Mono County, this little town it's a thriving hotspot one time thanks to discovery of profitable gold. In 1876, Bodie experienced a boom, soon became home to around 8,000 people, as well as 2,000 buildings and structures. So people flocked to the area hoping to benefit from the lucrative gold, which saw it develop like other well-established towns. At its peak, Bodie boasted a bank, a railroad, volunteer, fire companies, miners, mechanics union, as well as a range of daily newspapers and a cemetery and jail. It also offered residents an array of bars, saloons, reportedly became known for a string of unalivings, shootouts, brawls, stagecoach holdups. So mere decades later, though, when the gold started to dry up, the little town became a shadow of its former self. Miners left to seek gold elsewhere, which saw the area become much more family-oriented. Says, though its miners were still relatively profitable, it didn't stop the decline. And by 1950, Bodie was commonly referred to as a ghost town, with its businesses and establishment abandoned. Some homes were left with furniture and personal belongings, giving insight into the way residents truly lived at that time. Now it's recognized as an authentic Wild West ghost town, with the U.S. Department of the Interior declaring the designated Bodie Historic Desert as a National Historic Landmark. It's also registered as a California Historic Landmark, gaining its official establishment as Bodie State Historic Park in 1962. So the town actually receives 200,000 visitors each year, fascinating people with history, empty buildings, reports of ghost sightings. And people have taken TripAdvisor to share their experience to visiting the eerie town. Wow, that's pretty cool. That would be a neat place to go to, wouldn't it? Yeah, Bodie, California. Oh, Bodie Town. Bodie Hills, California. That's pretty neat. Pretty neat. Okay, Mr. Producer is giving me a warning that we are a few minutes away from our closeout time. Stick around, TikTok. I'll be with you guys in just a minute. My friends on Spreaker, I'm going to say goodnight to you guys. Gosh, it went by so fast. I'm going to remind everybody, guys, we have the show podcasted everywhere, but make sure you go to our website, kgradb.com. Don't forget, KGRAD as in dog, B as in bicycle.com. And make sure you subscribe to that network and put Bishop as your promo code. Because if you do, you get 30% off your subscription. It's a great thing. So, by the way, so I'll be here tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have open mic night from 8 to 8:30 or so. Miss Wilma, Miss Judy Ann, and myself, we have a good time. We goof off, tell jokes. We have a good time. We harass each other. And then I go back into your paranormal demonology questions. So that's tomorrow night. We start at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please make sure you're there. We'd love to have you guys. My friends on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Rumble, X, and KGRADB Radio, and TikTok. Remember, your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. You are priceless. And don't let anybody tell you or convince you otherwise. My friends, good night. The Sacred Division has been brought to you by Bishop Long's online paranormal course. Learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. It's 100% online, and you learn at your own pace. Please go to www.bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal course link.